Here we are looking at highlights a really profound shift in how audience loyalty actually works.
It's wild when you look at the numbers.
It is. When you look at this 2026 list of the top 10 most influential celebrities, it is almost entirely dominated by massive musical ensembles, idol groups, literally armies of
Sort of
performers,
factories.
except for one singular outlier.
Yeah, so the source data indicates that the actor Lee Min-ho holds the #2 spot in the 2026 rankings.
Number two. That's incredibly high.
It is, and he commands a highly specific support rate of 4.6%,
Wow. Okay.
which, in a highly fragmented, globalized attention economy where audiences are splintered across millions of different creators and platforms, holding nearly 5% of the total support rate. That is an incredibly dense concentration of attention for one individual.
The document notes something really crucial here, just to put that 4.6% into perspective.
Yeah, with the context.
It explains that when the landscape is evaluated based on Minoz, which the text uses as a specific analytical lens to filter the data, it reveals that Lee Min-ho is the only actor to secure a place in the top 10.
The only one. That's a huge distinction.
And we should clarify what that lens means in this context, right?
Yep.
Because Minoz isn't just measuring casual name recognition or, who had a viral video last week.
Right, it's much deeper than that.
Exactly. It is a metric of mobilized, entrenched support. It's measuring the bedrock loyalty of an audience. And under that specific evaluation, every other slot in the top 10 is a musical ensemble.
It's just group after group.
Group after group, machinery after machinery, and then him.
What's fascinating here is the concept of the industry-defining anomaly.
I love that phrase.
Right? Securing the #2 spot as a solo actor against these massive musical groups. It represents a crack in the established formula of how influence is traditionally built and measured in this space.
Yeah, huge crack.
Because the entertainment industry, particularly in South Korea, has spent decades perfecting a very specific, highly successful blueprint for global dominance. They built the automated factory.
Yes, exactly.
And this one data point proves that the blueprint has a massive blind spot.
Think about it like an Olympic track event.
Okay, I'm with you.
Imagine a high-stakes, globally televised race. The established winning formula is a 10-person relay team.
Right, highly synchronized.
Exactly. You have 10 athletes, perfectly synchronized. They each sprint a short, explosive distance at maximum speed. They pass the baton seamlessly, and they are basically engineered to never show fatigue.
Because there is always a fresh runner stepping up to capture the audience's attention.
Spot on. Now imagine a lone marathon runner steps onto that exact same track.
Just one person.
Just one. They are running entirely alone, pacing themselves over a really long distance. There's no baton to pass. There's no one to tag in when they are out of the spotlight.
Right.
And somehow, that single marathon runner is keeping pace with the highly coordinated relay teams, beating almost all of them to the finish line to take the silver medal.
It defies logic.
It totally does. So the big question is, how does one single actor capture nearly 5% of global attention when competing against massive groups that are perfectly engineered to appeal to every possible demographic?
Well, the source document addresses that by contrasting the operational models at play here. It points out that idol groups rely heavily on what it calls collective machinery and the synergy of multiple members.
Collective machinery. That is a very evocative phrase. It really captures the business model.
It's highly accurate to how the system functions. A group's power comes from casting the widest possible net.
Right.
If a fan doesn't resonate with the lead vocalist, well, they might connect with the lead dancer, or the rapper, or the member who excels at variety shows.
Basically something for everyone.
Exactly. The synergy is designed to capture and retain attention from multiple angles simultaneously.
But Lee Min-ho's success, according to the text anyway, suggests a major shift toward personality-driven loyalty.
Right, a completely different approach.
He competes as a solo entity through his personal charm and his diverse talents, spanning both film and television.
Which is much harder to pull off.
Well, let me play devil's advocate here because I have to pause on that contrast.
Yeah.
The sheer math of this business model comparison is kind of jarring to me.
How so?
When we talk about the collective machinery of idol groups, we aren't just talking about multiple people on a stage providing different flavors of entertainment. We are talking about constant, relentless output.
Oh, absolutely.
The machinery is the world tours, it's the daily social media synergy, the endless merchandise drops, the reality shows.
The live streams from hotel rooms.
Yes, the machine is literally designed to keep the audience fed every single day, creating this very specific type of parasocial dependency.
It's an ecosystem.
So how does an actor compete with that? I mean, an actor might only release a film or a television show once a year, or even less.
True.
They disappear for months onto a closed set where there is zero daily interaction with the audience. They don't have that constant industrial machine pumping out daily content to keep the algorithm happy.
Right.
So how does the loyalty survive the silence?
That disparity in output is really the core of why this disruption is so significant. If the volume of interaction is exponentially lower for an actor, well, the quality of the interaction has to be exponentially higher to generate the same level of loyalty.
That makes sense.
The shift toward personality-driven loyalty that the document outlines proves that sheer volume and just feeding the daily algorithm isn't the only way to build an empire.
But wait, are we just talking about quality over quantity here, or is there a different psychological mechanism at play?
It's a fundamentally different mechanism of connection. The document specifies his diverse talents spanning both film and television.
Right.
Consider the psychological difference between the two models. The traditional group machine relies on frequency of contact. You know, a 3-minute pop song, a 10-second social media clip, a quick daily update.
It builds familiarity through repetition.
Exactly. But an actor takes you on a narrative journey. When you watch a 16-episode television drama or a 2-hour film, you are spending concentrated, emotionally vulnerable time with that individual.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's very different.
An actor utilizes their personal charm over hours of continuous screen time to build a very intimate, deeply rooted emotional connection with the viewer.
I see.
So a solo actor relying on personality-driven loyalty leverages the intensity of the contact rather than the frequency.
That makes perfect sense. It's like,
Yeah.
it's the difference between someone waving at you every single day from across the street as you walk to work versus someone sitting down and having a deeply meaningful, intensely personal 3-hour conversation with you once a year.
That's a great way to put it.
The daily wave keeps you familiar. You know who they are. You might even consider them a fixture in your life. But the deep conversation fundamentally alters how you feel about them.
Right. It creates a bond.
A bond that doesn't require a daily wave to maintain.
And what the 2026 rankings show us is that this depth of personal charm, this intense narrative bonding through cross-medium storytelling, it can rival the sheer volume of output generated by group synergy.
It really is wild.
It allows an individual to completely bypass the traditional machinery, endure those long silences between projects, and still capture that massive 4.6% support rate when evaluated through the Minoz D lens.
Here's where it gets really interesting to me, because the text introduces a concept to explain this that feels almost unscientific, yet it's being used to explain hard data.
You're talking about the aura.
Yes, it talks about aura. The document states that his rank proves an individual's screen presence and artistic aura can command a global audience just as effectively as a world-touring music group.
Aura is a really compelling term for a data-driven ranking analysis. It attempts to quantify something totally intangible.
Right. It's not a metric you can easily plug into a spreadsheet.
Exactly. It isn't just about being good-looking or, hitting your marks on set. In this context, aura refers to a cumulative artistic footprint.
A footprint, okay.
And if the weight as an individual's presence on screen developed over years of diverse roles that becomes so distinct it basically acts as its own marketing engine.
It makes me think of Gravity.
Gravity. How so?
Well, think about how a world touring group operates within that collective machinery model. To capture and maintain that global audience, they have to physically transport themselves around the planet.
Oh, right. The logistics are insane.
They pack up the stadiums, the massive crew, the elaborate sets, and they exert an enormous amount of physical force to travel to the audience. It is this massive outward exertion of energy.
Yeah, it's exhausting just to watch.
But an artistic aura, that operates entirely like a gravitational pull.
I like that analogy.
The actor doesn't necessarily have to fly to every city on Earth to be felt. Their screen presence, their accumulated body of work, it creates a massive gravitational center.
Which pulls the audience in.
Yes, it pulls the global audience directly to them. The audience orbits the actor rather than the actor having to constantly chase the audience.
The text confirms the massive scale of this gravitational pull, actually. And it explicitly notes that this phenomenon marks a fundamental shift in how overseas markets perceive individual Korean talent. The aura isn't just localized anymore. Its gravity extends globally.
So what does this all mean? Because we aren't just talking about one actor having a highly successful year or topping a single chart. The document is pointing to a massive global perception shift.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, the implications for the broader entertainment industry are really substantial.
Okay, let's hear it.
For years, the overseas market has heavily associated Korean talent almost exclusively with the idol group model.
Right, the factory model.
Yeah. The global perception was that the value of the export lay in the highly polished, synchronized, multi-member spectacle. The machinery itself was viewed as the product, just as much as the people inside it were.
So the world was essentially buying into the factory. They were captivated by how perfect the assembly line was.
Yes. The precision was the novelty and the draw.
But that's changing now.
According to this 2026 data, yes, it indicates a maturation of the global consumer's palate. Overseas markets are no longer just buying into the manufactured spectacle of group dynamics.
They want something else.
They are placing equal, if not greater, value on individual artistry. They are recognizing, understanding, and most importantly, rewarding the unique screen presence, the personal charm, and the singular aura of a solo performer.
Wow.
It suggests that global audiences are looking for narrative depth and individual connection rather than just, synchronized entertainment.
That is a massive validation for the individual artist in any medium. I mean, it proves you don't need a 10-person backing group, a relentless social media posting schedule, and a perfectly synchronized marketing rollout to capture the world's attention.
Exactly.
You can hold your ground and even take the #2 spot globally simply by being incredibly compelling at your specific craft.
And you also have to factor in the density of the competition to fully appreciate the shift here.
What do you mean?
Well, to stand out as the lone actor in a top 10 list dominated by musical ensembles, it means the screen presence being projected has to be universally resonant.
Oh, right. Because they don't have a catchy chorus to rely on.
Exactly. It has to effectively transcend language barriers and cultural differences without the aid of a catchy pop hook or a viral dance challenge. The emotional resonance of the acting has to carry the entire weight of the global connection.
It is the ultimate proof of concept for personality-driven loyalty.
It really is.
It shows that when you build a bond with an audience based on narrative depth, when you rely on the gravitational pull of your artistic aura, that bond is remarkably resilient.
Very resilient.
It doesn't fracture or fade just because there isn't a new piece of merchandise to buy today, or because the algorithm wasn't fed a daily update. The loyalty is rooted in the work itself, not the marketing surrounding the work.
And it is a far more sustainable form of influence.
Because it doesn't burn you out.
Right. The collective machinery of idol groups, by its very design, requires constant fuel to keep running. If the tours stop, if the social media feeds go quiet, the machinery risks stalling.
And then the audience just moves on.
Exactly. The audience's attention easily drifts to the next group, providing that constant feed. But an aura, a genuine screen presence that has built a deep emotional connection, sustains itself. It lingers in the cultural memory between projects.
This has been such a fascinating look at the mechanics of influence and how shifting consumer behaviors are completely disrupting established industry models.
It's definitely a turning point.
Let's summarize what we've unpacked from the Lehman.pdf today. Lehman, whose capture of the #2 ranking in 2026 with a 4.6% support rate, is far more than just a celebrity milestone.
Much more.
When viewed through the Minoz evaluation lens, his status as the sole actor in a top 10 list of musical ensembles is a true industry-defining anomaly. It is hard statistical proof that an individual's personal charm, their cross-medium storytelling talents in film and television, and their accumulated artistic aura can successfully disrupt an entire global industry's reliance on collective machinery.
It fundamentally rewrites the rules of engagement for overseas markets. It proves that the global audience has evolved to value the gravity and intimacy of individual screen presence just as much as, if not more than, the relentless physical spectacle of the group machine.
I want to bring this right back to you, the listener, because regardless of what industry you work in or what media you consume, we all live in a world that feels increasingly dominated by massive coordinated systems.
You really do.
We are surrounded by corporate machines, algorithmic echo chambers, and monolithic business models that prioritize relentless volume over deep connection.
It can be overwhelming.
It's incredibly easy to look at that landscape and feel like the individual doesn't stand a chance against the factory. But what this deep dive proves is that a unique individual presence, a genuine, cultivated aura, still possesses the absolute power to break the mold.
Absolutely.
The lone individual with the hand tools who focuses on the depth of their craft rather than the frequency of their output can still outbuild the automated factory.
The human element, when it is profound enough and allowed the space to resonate, will always have the capacity to disrupt the machine.
But before we leave you today, I want to leave you with a final, lingering thought to mull over on your own.
What's that?
Well, we've seen that a single actor's aura and screen presence can now statistically rival the massive machinery of musical ensembles on a global scale.
Right.
So what happens next to the future structure of these group machines?
That's the million-dollar question.
If personality-driven loyalty is becoming the dominant force in overseas markets, will the industry try to adapt? Will the factories attempt to artificially manufacture and isolate solo auras within their massive ensembles to compete with this new threat?
Oh, that would be interesting to see.
Or will the global market force a complete pivot? Will the industry eventually shut down the synchronized assembly lines entirely and shift its resources toward developing multi-hyphenate individual stars instead of groups?
Definitely something to watch out for.
Think about that the next time you see a massive, highly coordinated relay team step up to the starting line right next to that lone marathon runner.